So today we're gonna do a day in the life review of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6. It's 5 months after this phone has come out. I've had it the whole time, has all the current updates. So we're going to test the new features and track battery life throughout the day, and thank you to Best Buy for sponsoring a portion of this video. Now, if you haven't used the flip phone in years, it's such a smaller design than a typical phone, and it really feels so much smaller when you're carrying it around in your pocket. You also have the added bonus of virtually having a stand with you anywhere you go, because you can always flip the screen to face you when you're watching content, doing a video call, taking a selfie, or shooting a video. This is also super nice with my daily workout or yoga and when I travel. You can also now do more with the cover display, which means that you don't have to open the phone as much. But there are still some limitations that I'm going to talk about later on in the video. Now, this year we got relatively small updates as far as the design, but if you're coming from one of the older models, you'll definitely notice those differences. Even when I compare it with the Z Flip 5, the frame is boxier with flat edges, so the grip feels really nice. The phone now closes completely flat, and it's now 0.2 millimeters thinner. It's not a huge difference, obviously, but it's still there. The ring around the camera is now thicker and also uses the same color as the frame, which I think is a really nice touch. The frame is matte, and the hinge, while I can't really see any visual upgrades, feels stronger. It holds the screen at any angle, and it feels like there's a lot less play in it. We're now getting IP48 rating up from IPX8 on the previous version, so now particles larger than 1 millimeter can't get in, which again is a nice bonus. The bezels on both the main and the cover displays are thinner, and somehow we're getting the same weight even though the battery is larger, and we'll come back to the battery later in the video. Now, I know these seem like small changes, but somehow the Z Flip 6 feels more refined and premium. And having used both this and the previous version without a case, it's something that I do notice every time I use it. All right, so now let's get this day started with a quick coffee at Luna so I can answer some emails, do some work on a few projects that I have going on, and then reply to your comments. Now, with the foldable phone, you may have some concerns about the quality of the main display, and the good news is that in this case, there's no need. We're getting a dynamic 2x display with a refresh rate that can go from 1 all the way up to 120 Hertz, which means that we're able to offer an excellent user experience and optimize battery life. I love how bright this display is at 2600 nits peak brightness, up from 1750 on the Z Flip 5, and this means that even in brighter conditions, I still have no problem seeing the display. The touch response is very good for both general use and gaming, and we're still getting a small crease, but it's never really been something that was a deal breaker for me. Now, the display isn't quite as anti-reflective as the S24 Ultra, but does a pretty good job when you compare it with other flagship phones. We also have HDR10 Plus support, and when you're watching Netflix, the app does detect that and should serve you the HDR version. But of course, the hero of a flip phone is the cover display, and in this case, we're actually getting something that's pretty similar to what we had before. You can stack more widgets, which is nice, and one of the new Galaxy AI features that I really love is photo ambient wallpaper, which essentially adds the weather to your current wallpaper. So if it's raining outside, it will add rain. If it's snowing, it'll add snow. It's super fun, and you can actually enable this for the main and cover displays. Now, the cover display itself isn't as bright as the main display, so we're looking at 1600 nits instead of 2600. It's bright enough to see outside, but of course matching it with the main display would have been nice. Now, you can reply to messages on the cover screen, although you can't really see a ton of the conversation while you're doing it. And you can access the Maps, Messages, Netflix, and YouTube apps if you enable this feature in settings, and I have a short on my channel showing you how to do that. But of all the apps that I have installed, these are the only options. So if you want more access than that, download GoodLock and install a module called Launcher, which is inside Multistar. This gives you access to any of the apps on the cover screen, and it means that you could do even more without having to open the phone. And one of my favorite things Samsung is doing has to do with creating a complete ecosystem of products with laptops, tablets, wearables, and earbuds like the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. I'm a super active person. I work out every day, so having a pair of earbuds that fit well and are comfortable to wear is super important to me. Personally, I love the new stem design. These tend to stay in my ears even when I'm running or jumping. They have independently controlled woofer and tweeter for very full sound and a broad soundstage. And when I'm out, the adaptive active noise cancellation monitors my surrounding and actively reduces background noise. The adaptive equalizer with Galaxy AI is able to adjust the audio based on how the Buds 3 Pro sit in my ear. And real-time interpreter with Galaxy AI delivers live translations from my phone to my ears during face-to-face conversations, which is great when I travel.
¿Dónde está la zapatería? Where is the shoe store?
So if you're an active person like me, or if you're just looking for super comfortable earbuds with great sound and outstanding active noise cancellation, you can save $60 on the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, and thank you to Best Buy for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now, as far as cameras, we're getting a main 50 megapixel camera and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It's not quite the system that we have with the S24 Ultra, but 50 megapixels is a nice upgrade from the Z Flip 5. Image quality with the main camera is definitely improved. The images are cleaner, the processing seems even more natural, and there is better dynamic range, so it's better able to maintain details in the shadows and the highlights. The ultra-wide camera also seems a little bit improved from the previous version, but it's not as big a difference as what we're seeing with the main camera. It's also great that you can use the external cameras for selfies while getting a preview of your shot, and this way you can get the best quality images that this phone can produce, so I don't really find myself using the internal camera too much. Now, if you want to use the internal camera, you can use it in flex mode, and then again, you have complete control over the angles, so you don't really need a stand. Night shots do a good job at handling bright objects, and the video quality has also been improved. Now, for video, you can use the phone like a typical candy bar phone, but you also have a fun camcorder mode. Now, the UI elements rotate to accommodate for this, and it's great when you're shooting in landscape mode. Now, the one feature that we don't have is a telephoto camera, but for me on a phone, I think if I have to choose between ultra wide and telephoto, again, on a phone, I think I'm gonna choose ultra wide. Let me know what you think. Now, a lot of people talk about peak performance in the context of benchmarks, but I also think that it's important to look at real life performance and then the impact on battery life. In this case, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip for Galaxy with its higher clock speeds does a really good job. There isn't anything that I do in my typical day where I feel like I don't have enough power, and at the same time, the battery life, which we'll go into later on, has been pretty good. Which brings me to AI, where we're getting all the Galaxy AI features that we saw with the S24 Ultra, plus something special. So we have Circle to Search, where you can draw a circle around anything on the screen and then have the phone search Google for it and show you the results. You have Sketch to Image, where even my terrible sketches can be converted into really nice images with various styles. I already mentioned Photo Ambient Wallpaper, and again, you can have all the other AI features that you're already familiar with, but when you use the Interpreter app and you have the Z Flip 6 in flex mode, you can have a full conversation where the person you're speaking to can actually see the translation on the cover display while you're looking at everything on the main display, and I think that's an awesome feature. You also have the option of processing data only on the device, which disables online processing for AI. All right, so at this point of the day, I decided to take a break and just game for a little bit. In terms of processing power, this phone can handle any of the games that I want. For PUBG, I can go with graphics set to smooth and then extreme plus for frame rate, which is 90 FPS, or I can go all the way to Ultra HDR for graphics and then ultra for frame rate. It's a little bit of a different aspect ratio than what I'm used to when I'm gaming on a phone. It's not necessarily my favorite. I wish the screen was a little bit taller when it's in landscape mode, but again, that's sort of what you get with a flip phone. I also love the fact that Samsung is now offering 7 years of security, One UI, and Android updates. So now you know that you can invest in a foldable device and you won't have to upgrade just to get the latest updates. All right, before we get to battery life, I just want to point out that it's absolutely freezing out here. I'm actually wearing a heated jacket, which is keeping me, I mean, look, we got snow going on here. But anyways, let's get to it. All right, so it's now 8:12 p.m. and the battery is at 23%, which is not exactly a reflection of every day because I use the camera quite a bit. Here is also a more detailed view of exactly what used up the battery life. So again, you can see the camera used up 19%. Netflix did quite a lot. PUBG, surprisingly, for an hour only did 8.5%, and then YouTube seems to be super efficient and really didn't put a dent. Also, battery life is not really a huge deciding factor for me when I'm looking at a phone because most of the time I can charge it throughout the day, either in the office or when I'm driving, but I know that not every user has the same flexibility, so it's just something that I always like to track in my reviews. And of course, when I'm traveling, or even if I just go to do work somewhere that's outside the house, I usually have a power bank with me, and that way I just know that I'm safe with all my devices. Now with the Z Flip 6, the battery life was increased from the previous model, so we're now looking at 4,000 milliampere hours. On a fairly heavy average day, I get about 6 to 8 hours of screen on time, assuming again that I'm not using the camera quite this much. Now overnight, the battery drain is about 2%. I mean, obviously I'm typically charging it, but if I'm not charging it, it's about 2%. And the Z Flip 6 can charge wirelessly at 15 watts and then 25 watts when wired. And a super cool feature that it has is wireless power sharing. So if you turn this feature on, you can wirelessly charge another phone, your smartwatch, or headphones right on the back of the Z Flip 6. And this is awesome when I forget to charge my Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. So after 5 months of using the Z Flip 6, what do I think? On paper, it's an incremental improvement from the previous model, but in your hand, you can feel the difference. I like the brighter display, the improved camera system, the new features, the upgraded chipset, and the longer support. So if you're looking for one of the best AI-capable flip phones on the market, check out the Galaxy Z Flip 6 and let me know if there are any phones that you want me to compare it with. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.